we're gonna take things in a slightly more lighthearted fashion for the rest of the episode, and we're gonna come back with some talk about pornography. I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. So, I absolutely, there's like been 4 porn stories that have come across my news feeds this week, and I was just like, which one am I going to talk about? So we're just going to talk about all 4 real quick. None of them are like, particularly in-depth stuff. It's just, it is what it is. It's pornography. So, as you know, sometimes I'll go on the show and I'll actually recommend podcasts. If you're interested, there's a Pornhub.com podcast now. Pornhub is just sort of becoming the go-to for all things sex. They do sex education. They have a sex education website because, sex education oftentimes sucks in different parts of the world, and porn isn't a great sex education substitute. So they actually have like legitimate sex education, sexual health education available for free online. Which, given that that Pornhub is one stop for many young people in their pubescent ages, the youngest viewers of Pornhub are getting some help from Pornhub, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, hosted by Asa Akira, who, as far as I know, is a retired porn star. I don't know. She might still be doing it. I don't really know. That's not like a fake I don't know. It's a genuine I don't actually have any idea. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I already listened to probably 30 plus podcasts within the run of a week. So I guess maybe for a laugh once, but I can't imagine it's going to be anything that I'm going to want to listen to long term. But it's out there if you're interested. Another thing that Pornhub does, and this genuinely did make me happy. They rank the most viewed and most liked or upvoted porn stars on their website. For the longest time, it was now retired porn star Mia Khalifa, who she's gone on to do. She's doing like sports podcasting or sports radio, and is just generally speaking, just trying to have a career after porn. Which good on you. She doesn't seem to have been ruined by drugs or abuse or whatever. So good for her. I think that her opinions are sometimes trash, but that's besides the point. Yeah, of course, as of late, the sort of most viewed, because I think it's an amalgamation of the most viewed and the most voted on, positively voted on porn stars. So of course, the top on Pornhub right now is Stormy Daniels, who is let's just say friends with the president. Like, of course, it's one of those things that it shouldn't surprise, but it did delight. Speaking of Stormy Daniels, of course, Trump transition team, Trump's personal lawyer, saying that the payoff for Miss Daniels to keep covered up her illicit affair with President Trump did not come from the Trump transition team. Apparently came from the lawyer himself, which apparently somehow makes it better. like, so there's still some question that this might be, and like, I mean, it's going to be one of those things that'll probably never actually be litigated properly because there's, Russia and collusion and other corruption to take a look at first. But like, this may still constitute an illegal campaign contribution. It may still constitute an illegal transfer of funds, maybe an illegal gift in the terms of the context of the campaign. But it's fascinating to me that if it had been any other president in history, and I'm not just talking about any other Democrat, I'm not just talking about Barack Obama, I'm talking about any other president other than Donald J. Trump, paying off a porn star to keep quiet about the sexual affair that she had with him while his wife was sitting at home with a 10-month-old baby. If it had been literally anyone else, that person would have been drummed out of office so goddamn quickly your head would spin. And like, I think it's just the way that politics has sort of gone since, I would say, probably, it probably goes back as far as Reagan, but really George W. Bush, in that despite all evidence to the contrary, anybody who is at the top of the GOP is a good-hearted Christian in the eyes of the religious right nut jobs. Despite all evidence to the contrary with Donald Trump, he is a good, God-fearing man in the eyes of the super evangelical, super right-wing, religious right people. It's really fucking cynical, and I just genuinely dislike it. And I would hate it if it were happening on the left. But, it's just any other president in the world would just be drummed out of town immediately. You'd have Mike Pence, you would have him being forced to step down. I mean, you can't force the president to do anything, but let's be honest, like, he would either be stepping down, or he would face a very credible challenge in the primary that would probably win at any other time in history. It's just like, it just boggles the mind. It's hilarious in its own way, but it just boggles the mind. Final little piece of information that I had. Apparently, on Pornhub, just to round it back up to Pornhub, apparently the way that they figure out what's hottest isn't by what's being watched the most or what's trending the most. It goes by what an individual watches last in their particular session on Pornhub. Which makes sense, I suppose, in a way. Gets the job done. Oh my god. Maybe this will be a regular segment on the show, This Week in Porn. My parents listen to this. Oh god. Anywho. On the other side, we're going to talk about Liverpool Football Club. We're going to win the Champions League this year, guys. I'm more and more certain of it. Here we go. All right. So we're talking about football, so that must mean that Liverpool won big recently. You know what? Since we last talked, I'll just run over what's going on since we last talked about Liverpool. Of course, we were last talking about Liverpool when we beat the title winners-elect almost. We beat Manchester City 4-3. Since then, we lost to Swansea City 1-0, which was pretty disappointing. We got knocked out of the FA Cup by West Bromwich Albion, which is also pretty disappointing. We drew with Tottenham in a game where we should have won if refereeing was at all good in that match, which it wasn't. But in addition to that, we had some pretty good routine wins against Huddersfield 3-0 and against Southampton, a.k.a. the Farm League for Liverpool, 2-0. But this past Wednesday, in the Champions League, round of 16, the first time that we've been in the knockout rounds of the Champions League in God knows how long. It's been like 9 years. Liverpool 5, Porto 0. People were going on and on when we drew Porto, like, oh, it's not going to be an easy draw. It's not going to be just a walk in the park, guys. You know, they've been to this dance before. They usually make it to the knockout stages. They know how to compete. Yeah, but they're playing against a hungry Liverpool team, which is actually firing on all cylinders for the first time this season since, like, October. It feels so good. So here's a fun little fact for you, fun little stat. Liverpool previously had gotten the English team record for away goals in a Champions League fixture of 3, which that was broken by Manchester City on Tuesday, the day before Liverpool played, when they scored 4 against Basel. And then Liverpool goes ahead and breaks it again with the 5-0 victory at Porto. Other fun little fact, the last time that Liverpool played, actually I think it's every time that Liverpool has played and won a game in Portugal in the Champions League, they go on to win the cup. So I think we're looking at title number 6 for Liverpool. Honestly, things are looking really, really good for the team right now. This weekend was FA Cup weekend, so no game for Liverpool this week. So they went and did some warm weather training overseas. They next play West Ham United, and then Newcastle United. Which is a game I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Newcastle more so than I am to West Ham. I think West Ham we should beat. Newcastle, I think, will just be a really tetchy game, and it should be interesting. Because Newcastle kind of has to go for it. I know that Rafa Benitez is not known as a particularly attacking coach. He would rather just get a 1-0 victory and just sort of sit and park the bus at that point. But I think that they're going to have to go for it based on where they are in the table. Which benefits Liverpool, and it makes for a really exciting game. And then from there, we do the second leg against Porto at Anfield in Liverpool. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm not completely relaxed about this because if the Manchester City game is anything to go by, Liverpool can give up a lead. No matter how big it may be, they can give up a lead and make things more difficult for themselves. But we've got a really good record at Anfield this season. Most seasons, Anfield's a really hard ground to win at, and honestly, scoring 5 away goals and then even pushing us to extra time looks like it's going to be a bridge too far for Porto, and particularly in terms of how they played this past week. From there, we go on and we play our next important match in the league is against Manchester United on the 10th of March. If we win that game, there's a very good chance that we could finish second in the league. That's just the honest-to-God truth of it, and it's an absolute must-win, not least because it's Manchester United, and I always want to beat Man U. So I don't know, like I'm feeling good about Liverpool for perhaps the first time in in a long time in terms of at this